We can't hear you, Doug.
My headphones, I guess I'll have to just do it without the headphones. That kind of sucks, but whatever. All right, so sorry about that if people weren't hearing me before. We're about to start the Torah portion for today's Sabbath study. I'm about to read Deuteronomy 12 to 16, and I'm gonna put this app on the shared screen here. Okay, and this is called the Bible Study, free Bible study app. It's pretty similar to Word software, and it's pretty similar. So I'm able to, I think for the RNKJV, I'm going to change it to LXX 2012. So now we'll have that on one side and the Targum Unclose on the other side. I wonder if you're able to make a new window. Yeah, okay, you are able to do a 3 version parallel. Okay, that's cool. All right, Samaritan Pentateuch in English. There we go. All right. So I'll be focusing on really the let's see here, that's the Samaritan Pentateuch, right? Targum Unclose, and let's see here, I guess. Hold on, whoa. There we go. All right, so this is the LXX version. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Let's go. Trying to remember how to do this again. Oh yeah, you gotta click on that. Okay, so we're at Deuteronomy 12. Here we go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being patient here. All right. It says in verse 1, and these are the ordinances and the right rulings which you shall observe to do in the land, okay, which Yehovah, Elohim of your fathers, gives you for an inheritance, okay, all the days which you live upon the land. You shall utterly destroy all the places in which they serve their mighty ones, whose land you inherit on the high mountains. I feel like we read this last time. Chapter 12. Did we do chapter 12 to 16 last week?
We didn't do anything last week.
We didn't do anything last week, right? Why? I wonder if I read chapter 12 by mistake a week ago. I think that's what happened. Okay, so I'm sorry, y'all, but I think we're going to jump to chapter 13 here because I think we already read 12 the other week because I remember it that chapter seems very familiar to me right now. So, all right. So we'll do 13 to 16. Make a little edit there with the readings. Okay, so chapter 13 to 16. Chapter 13 of Deuteronomy. And if there arise within you a prophet or one who dreams a dream, and he gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass which he spoke to you, saying, Let us go and serve other mighty ones, which you know not. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet, or the dreamer of that dream, because Yahuwah your Elohim tries you to know whether you love. Okay, this phone's got it. I know there's probably people messaging in the group. Well, I gotta turn this other phone off because that is going to be annoying. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, viewers and listeners. All right, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or the dreamer of that dream, because Yahuwah your Elohim tries you to know whether you love your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul. And it should actually say spirit there. Sometimes translators mistranslate the word for spirit as soul. But anyway, you shall follow Yahuwah your Elohim and fear him. You shall hear his voice and attach yourselves to him. And that prophet or the dreamer of a dream shall die, for he has spoken to make you error from Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, who redeemed you from bondage, to thrust you out. Okay, so out of the way which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded. Alright, you to walk in. So shall you abolish the evil from among you. So that's verse 5. Now we're at verse 6 here. Okay. And if your brother, by your father or mother, or your son or daughter, or your wife in your bosom, or friend who is equal to your own spirit, meaning, someone that is basically your best friend, someone that's almost like a brother to you or a sister to you. That's what it means by equal to your own spirit. Entreat you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other mighty ones, which neither you nor your fathers have known, of the mighty ones of the nations that are round about you, who are near you or at a distance from you, from one end of the earth to the other. You shall not consent to him, neither shall you listen to him, or your eye shall not spare him. You shall feel no regret for him, neither shall you at all protect him. You shall surely report concerning him, and your hands shall be upon him among the first to kill him, and the hands of all the people at the last. And they shall stone him with stones, and he shall die, because he sought to draw you away from Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. All Yasharal shall hear and fear, and shall not again do according to this evil thing among you. Notice how it says among you. So this, again, the context of these commands being given is in the land.
Yeah.
There has to be a Torah judicial system to do capital punishment. You can't just try to willy-nilly do this in America. You can't. So, Daniel wasn't taking up stones in Babylon and starting to attack.
Well, Daniel, he's always our little go-to.
Well, he's the most obvious situation where we are right now, Mom, is like a parallel to
definitely,
what he was,
No argument.
So that's why I'm using that as my best example. And if in one of your cities which Yahuwah Elohim gives you to dwell there, you shall hear men saying, Evil men have gone out from you, and have caused all the inhabitants of their land to fall away, saying, Let us go and worship other mighty ones whom you knew not. Then you shall inquire and ask and search diligently. Behold, if the things is clearly true, and this abomination has taken place among you, you shall utterly destroy all the dwellers in the land with the edge of the sword. You shall solemnly curse it and all things in it. And all its spoils you shall gather in its public ways. And you shall burn the city with fire and all its spoils publicly before Yahuwah your Elohim, and it shall be uninhabited forever. It shall not be built again, and there shall nothing of the cursed thing cleave to your hand, that Yahuwah may turn from his fierce anger, which show you mercy, and pity you, and multiply you as he swore to your fathers, if you will hear the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim to keep his commands, and all that I charge you this day, to do that which is tob and pleasing before Yahuwah your Elohim. Okay, chapter 14. You are the children of Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not make any baldness between your eyes. Period. No. For the dead. Okay, that's the context there. For the dead. So this is talking about like a pagan practice. For you are a set apart people to Yahuwah your Elohim. And Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen you to be a peculiar people to himself of all the nations on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which you shall eat. So now what's happening here is Deuteronomy 14 is like recounting what we already have read about in Leviticus, if I'm not mistaken. That's the origin of this commandments in Leviticus, where it talks about what beasts you can eat, what you can't eat, what birds you can eat, what you can't eat, and vice versa. These are the beasts which you shall eat: the calf of the herd, the lamb of the sheep, the kid of the goats, the stag, the doe, which the stag is like a deer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Pygard and wild goat and camel leopard. I don't know what a camel leopard is. Every beast that divides the hoofs and makes claws of two divisions, and that chews the cud among the beasts, you shall eat. These you shall not eat of them that chew the cud, and of those that divide the hoofs and make distinct claws, the camel, the hare, and the rabbit, because they chew the cud but do not divide the hoof. These are unclean to you. And as for the swine, because he divides the hoof and makes claws of the hoof, yet he chews not the cud, he is unclean to you. And you shall not eat of their flesh, you shall not touch their dead bodies. And these you shall eat of all that are in the water. You shall eat all that have fins and scales. And all that have not fins and scales you shall not eat. Whoops, my bad. I don't know why I did that. Whoops. Okay. Okay, you shall not eat. They are unclean to you. You shall eat every clean bird. Verse 12. And of these of them you shall not eat, meaning the birds you shall not eat: the eagle, the ostrich, the sea eagle, the vulture, and the kite, and like to it, and the sparrow, and the owl, and the cormorant, and the heron, and the swan, and the stork. Let's see. Okay. What's interesting is certain versions, they don't include the stork, and I don't know what it is about that, but anyway. And the cormorant, and the hawk, and its like, and the hoopoe, and the raven, and the pelican, and the diver, and like to it, and the red bill, and the bat. I don't know why you want to eat a bat, but whatever. Only vampirists really like eating bats, like Satanists and all that, so I don't know why you want to eat a bat, but anyway. All winged animals that creep are unclean to you. You shall not eat of them. You shall eat every clean bird. You shall eat nothing that dies of itself. It shall be given to the sojourner in your cities, and he shall eat. Or you shall sell it to a stranger, because you are a set apart people to Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not boil a lamb in its mother's milk. Just a very short explanation there in verse 21, why it's righteous for us to give to a spiritual Gentile. You can give an animal that dies of itself. Well, they're not covenant with Yahuwah yet, so they're one of his children yet. So technically, there's the standard of his Torah is for his people. So that's why he's allowing Yasharel to give to a Gentile, a heathen, a clean animal that dies of itself. But a clean animal that dies of itself, we cannot eat. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of explain that. Verse 22, you shall tithe a tenth of all the produce of your seed, the fruit of your field, year by year, and you shall eat it in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose to have his name called there. Again, in the place which Yahuwah will choose. Okay. To have his name called there. You shall bring the tithe of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, the firstborn of your herd, So basically, the law of firstborn is actual sacrifice. It's actual tithe. It's considered that you may learn to fear Yahuwah your Elohim always, and if the journey be too far for you, and you are not able to bring them, because the place is far from you, which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose to have his name called there, excuse me, because Yahuwah your Elohim will barak you, then you shall send them for money, and you shall take the money in your hands, and you shall go to the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose, and you shall give the money for whatever your spirit shall desire. Or maybe it's soul there. Maybe it's supposed to be soul there. Or whatever your soul shall desire, for oxen or for sheep or for wine, you shall lay it out on strong drink. I eventually want to do a study about that. What I believe strong drink to be is not what the common consensus people think strong drink is, but anyway, that's another topic for another day. Or on whatever your soul may desire, and you shall eat there before Yahuwah your Elohim. So it's basic. This is talking about the festival tithe. For FYI, this is another tithe too, a different tithe where it's actually given to Yahuwah, but it's for the individual Israelite that's keeping the Feast of Tabernacles and all that. So anyway, on whatever your soul may desire, you shall eat there before Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall rejoice in your house and the Levite that is in your cities, because he has not a portion or inheritance with you. After 3 years you shall bring out all the tithes of your fruits. In that year you shall lay it up in your cities, and the Levite shall come, because he has no part of lot with you. Again, it says, lay it up in your cities. So the context is being in the land. Okay. And the Levite shall come, because he has no part of or lot with you, and the stranger and the orphan and the widow which is in your cities, and they shall eat and be filled, that Yahuwah your Elohim may barak you in all the works which you shall do. Every 7 years, so now we're at chapter 15. Every 7 years you shall make a release, and this is the ordinance of the release. You shall remit every private debt which your neighbor owes you. You shall not ask payment of it from your brother. Notice how your brother and neighbor are used hand in hand in that verse. Okay. For it has been called a release to Yahuwah your Elohim. Of a stranger you shall ask again whatever he has of yours. See? So Yahuwah is making a distinction here. He's saying the stranger is not your neighbor. Okay? The stranger you're allowed to not release a debt of. Just keeping it in context here. Okay? Of a stranger you shall ask again whatever he has of yours. But to your brother you shall remit his debt to you. For thus shall there not be a poor person in the midst of you, for Yahuwah your Elohim will surely barak you in the land which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you by inheritance, that you should inherit it. And if you shall indeed listen to the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim to keep into all these commandments, as many as I charge you this day, for Yahuwah your Elohim has baruched you in the way of which he spoke to you, then you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. Notice, though, this is a baraka. This is a, what is it called, Mom? Conditional thing. Not rule over you. So keeping that in context, this is not saying that it's wrong for us to take a loan from a Gentile. What he's saying is, if you keep all my commandments this day, you won't have to lend. You won't have to take money from a Gentile. They'll be taking money from you. Just keeping everything in context here. Okay, it shall not rule over you. And if there be in the midst of you a poor man of your brothers in one of your cities in the land, which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you, you shall not harden your heart. Neither shall you by any means close up your hand from your brother who is in lack. You shall surely open your hands to him, and shall lend him as much as he wants, according to his need. Verse 9, take heed to yourself that there be not a secret thing in your heart and a lawlessness, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, draws near, and your eye shall be evil to your brother that is in lack, and you shall not give to him. And he shall cry against you to Yahuwah, and there shall be great sin in you. You shall surely give to him, and you shall lend to him as much as he needs, according as he is in need. And you shall not grudge in your heart as you give to him, because on this account Yahuwah your Elohim will barak you in all your works, and in all the things on which you shall lay your hand. For the poor shall not fail off your land. Therefore I charge you to do this thing, saying, you shall surely open your hands to your poor brother, and to him that is distressed upon your land. And if your brother or sister, Hebrew man or Hebrew woman, be sold to you, he shall serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall send him out free. And when you shall send him out free from you, you shall not send him out empty. You shall give him provision for the way, from your flock and from your grain and from your wine, as Yahuwah your Elohim has baruched you. You shall give to him, and you shall remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and Yahuwah your Elohim redeemed you from there. Therefore I charge you to do this thing. And if he should say to you, I will not go out from you, because he continues to love you, and your house because he is well with you, then you shall take an awl and bore his ear through to the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And in like manner shall you do to your maidservant. It shall not seem hard to you when they are sent out free from you, because your servant has served you 6 years according to the annual hire of a hired servant. So Yahuwah your Elohim shall barak you in all things whatsoever you may do. Every firstborn that shall be born among your kine or your sheep, you shall set apart the males to Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not work with your firstborn calf. You shall not shear the firstborn of your sheep. You shall eat it before Yahuwah your Elohim year by year in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose, you and your house. And if there be in it a blemish, if it be lame or blind, and an evil blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to Yahuwah your Elohim. See, right here is telling you the firstborn, the law of the firstborn is a literal sacrifice. Okay, it's talking about if there's a physical blemish, tamim, the Hebrew word there, if there's a physical blemish on it, you shall not give it to Yahuwah as a sacrifice. You shall not sacrifice it to Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall eat it in your cities. So notice the difference here. When you're eating an animal that you're just killing for yourself, that's not a sacrifice. You can eat it within your cities. Okay. The unclean in you. Now this is where it gets tricky with this verse, because certain translations will say the unclean and clean alike you shall eat it. So people are getting a wrong interpretation, like Yahuwah is saying you can eat clean and unclean animals. No, it's talking about the ceremonially clean and unclean among Yashar'el shall eat it. So the unclean in you and unclean shall eat it in like manner as the doe or the stag. Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it out on the earth as water. All right, Deuteronomy 16. Observe the month of new grain. You shall sacrifice the Passover to Yahuwah your Elohim, because in the month of new grain you came out of Egypt by night. You shall sacrifice the Passover to Yahuwah your Elohim, sheep and oxen in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose to have his name called upon it. Now this, I want to make a distinction here, because I never noticed this until this year. Verse 1 and 2 is not referring to the meal of Passover. It's actually referring to this sacrifice. There's an actual sacrifice of Passover that's separate from the meal, where you have to give Yahuwah a sacrifice at the temple of the oxen or the sheep. So that's completely separate from the meal, because the meal itself they were never to take from the oxen, to take from sheep or goats. They were never allowed to take oxen. So I just wanted to make a distinction there. Some misconceptions I had in the past. So anyway, verse 3, you shall not eat leaven with it. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread with it. Bread of affliction. That's going to be key when we start going into this chapter here. So bread of humbleness, humiliation, even. What version is it? The Unkelos says there. Okay, so we're going on Yom Kippur tonight. This is a perfect way to show that you can afflict yourself without fasting. Okay, bread of humiliation, of affliction, because you came forth out of Egypt in haste, that you may remember that the day of your coming forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of your life. Leaven shall not be seen with you in all your borders for 7 days, and there shall not be left of the flesh which that you have sacrificed at evening on the first day until the morning. Now, this is probably talking about the sacrifices of the week of unleavened bread. They had to give sacrifices the whole week. Okay. You shall not have power to kill the Passover in any of your cities, which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you, but oh no, it is sacrifice. Okay, so it is talking about the sacrifices, not the meal. So it should say you have no power to sacrifice Passover in any of your cities, which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you. But in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose to have his name called there, you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the setting of the sun, at the time when you came out of Egypt. And you shall boil and roast and eat it. And this is how we know it cannot be the meal that he's talking about here, because remember, Mom, in Exodus 12, they're not to boil it, right? Exodus 12 says for the actual meal, the actual Passover lamb they ate, you can't boil it.
Right.
So this is talking about, it's either talking about the weekly unleavened bread sacrifices that the priests had to give at the temple, or it's talking about the night of Passover. After they got into the land, Yahuwah gave them extra commands for these feasts. So they have to do actual sacrifices of the oxen or the sheep. Okay, so that's most likely what this is talking about. Okay, on which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose, and you shall return in the morning and go to your house. 6 days shall you eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day is a festival, a feast to Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not do in it any work, save what must be done by anyone. 7 weeks shall you number to yourself when you have begun to put the sickle to the grain. Notice how it says count 7 weeks. It does not say count the stage of the grain. I just want to make an observation here. That's what the commandment says. It says to count 7 weeks or 50 days. Okay. All right. So you to number 7 weeks, and you shall keep the feast of weeks to Yahuwah your Elohim accordingly as your hand has power, in as many things as Yahuwah your Elohim shall give you. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your son and your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow, which dwells among you, in whatever place Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose that his name should be called there. And you shall remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and you shall observe and do these commands. You shall keep for yourself the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days, when you gather in the produce from your grain floor and your winepress, and you shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant, your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow that is in your cities. 7 days shall you keep a feast to Yahuwah your Elohim in the place which Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose for himself. And if Yahuwah your Elohim shall barak you in all your fruits and every work of your hands, then you shall rejoice. 3 times in the year shall all your males appear before Yahuwah your Elohim in the place which Yahuwah shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread, feast of weeks, and feast of tabernacles, you shall not appear before Yahuwah your Elohim empty. So obviously, The reason it only says the males is because that's the sacrifice. The sacrifices had to be given at the temple, and only the males are given the sacrifices. So that's why it says, all your males appear before me. So that's what it's talking about. Each one according to his ability, according to the Barak of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he has given you. Okay. You shall make for yourself right rulers and officers in your cities, which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you in your tribes. And they shall judge the rightly rule the people with the righteous right ruling. They shall not wrest right ruling, nor favor persons, nor receive a gift, for gifts blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. You shall righteously pursue right ruling, that you may live and go in and inherit the land which Yahuwah your Elohim gives you. You shall not plant for yourself a grove. You shall not plant for yourself any tree near the altar of your Elohim. That's an important verse right there. You shall not set up for yourself a pillar which Yahuwah your Elohim hates. And what it's talking about, a pillar, if you look at like the certain versions of the Torah, like the Targums, or even the Targum of Isaiah, identifies a pillar more specifically as like a sun pillar, like obelisk. Like that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about a random statue. He's talking about something that would be used in worship, like an idol, a pillar that would be used in pagan worship. Okay. Because if I'm not mistaken, Mom, wasn't in Solomon's temple they had general pillars that, right? Just general pillars, not used for worship or anything, but there was general pillars.
Ornamentation.
Yeah, so I think it's important to keep the context there. So anyway, that's the end of our Deuteronomy portion. I'm gonna be giving it to my mom now. She will be reading for us Isaiah 52. Actually, no. Let's go in chronological order here. Actually, let's try to keep it in order here. Mom, let me see here. I think our first Isaiah portion here we have is Isaiah 45 to 48. So whenever you're ready. And let me just get out of here. I'm gonna have to fix the parallel of that. I'm back. Oh, okay. So actually, you know what? Before we do another recording, I see someone has a hand up. So we're gonna take a short break, have a little chit chat off the record, and we'll be back shortly, and give my mom time to find her place in Isaiah. Okay, so please stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute or so. Shalom.
Recording stopped.
Hey,
And-
Brother Doug,
Yeah.
do you think that the